Potatoes are an incredibly rewarding crop to grow. If you've got a patch of ground in full sun that you can manure really well so it's really quite rich, you're bound, almost bound, to get a really good crop. But when you start looking at potatoes, and always buy seed potatoes because they're generally virus-free, they'll yield much better than those that have been growing under the sink, you'll find three different kinds: first earlies, second earlies and main crop. They're listed in order of ripening, if you like, in order of harvesting. The first earlies come quickly, they'll take 8 to 10 weeks, right down to the main crops, which will take up to 16 weeks. But with these, the earlies, the first earlies, and this is a variety called Accent, it's always a good idea to sprout your seed potatoes first. And you do that by popping them in egg boxes in a bright windowsill. They'll take a month or so to produce shoots like this, and the reason you want big shoots on them is that that tends to hasten cropping. With main crops, it doesn't matter, you can plant them as they are. The planting technique for both is the same. Take out a trench like this, which is about 9 inches deep, and space the seed potatoes out in the bottom. First earlies like these, about a foot apart. Main crops, where you can expect a heavier crop, you can space them about 18 inches apart, right the way along the trench. And then the earth that you've taken out, you put back over the top, just to tuck them in snugly, you know, just about 4 or 5 inches on the top of each of those tubers. And you'll notice that when you've finished, and I'm doing part of the row here, it's in a dip. But it won't always be in a dip like that, because as the shoots push through, when they get through 2 or 3 inches, and because you're planting late March, April, sometimes right through into May, you might still get a frost. You want to make sure those shoots are protected from frost, and that's when you need to pull a bit more over. So as soon as those shoots are coming through, if frost threatens, cover them up with soil. There's another reason why we do this thing called earthing up, and that is to stop light getting at the tubers. Tubers that are exposed to sunlight go green. They're nasty tasting and they can be poisonous. And as these shoots grow, keep on piling this earth on top until you end up with a ridge running right the way down here and the foliage is coming out of the top. Make sure that during dry spells you give them a really good watering. How do you know when they're ready to harvest? Well, yes, you've got the kind of weekly thing, 8 to 10 for earlies, as I say, 16 weeks for main crop. Often when the plants flower is a good indicator that new tubers will have formed below, but the easiest thing to do is to get your hand out, scrape away and see if they're there, and then pull out 1 or 2 for those first early new potatoes, and they'll see you right the way through the year, with the main crops being storable in sacks so that you can even have them at Christmas. Happy planting.